and sadly, we must admit failure. To illustrate this, I would like to quote from a report by Reuters on Tuesday, 12th of February 2008, last year, entitled Arab Information Ministers Adopt Broadcast Charter. And it says, and I quote, Arab governments adopted on Tuesday a satellite broadcasting charter which will entrench state control over broadcast and curtail political expression. It goes on to refer to the document as echoing the language found in press laws used by some Arab governments to prosecute journalists critical of their government. The report quotes Lawrence Pintack, director of the Center for Electronic Journalism at the American University in Cairo, and now founding dean at the Edward R. Murrow College of Communication in Washington State University, as saying, this is clearly an effort to try to stem influence from satellite television on a political level. The Associated Press's Maggie Michael reported from Cairo that the approved Charter of Principles for Regulating Satellite TV in the Arab World, that is the official title of the document, and I quote, is being viewed by the region's media circles as a concerted move to muzzle stations. Indeed, Al Jazira was alarmed by this and responded with a statement declaring that this charter is a risk to the freedom of expression in the Arab world, and its vague provisions could be interpreted to actively hinder independent reporting from the region. Needless to say that the only Arab countries to reject the charter were our sponsor, the state of Qatar, and Lebanon. The new rules allow signatories to suspend, terminate, or to refuse renewal of licenses of TV networks that are deemed to violate the charter, which is couched in linguistic ambiguities. It says that satellite channels should not damage social harmony, national unity, public order, or traditional values. Programming should also conform with religious and ethical values of Arab society and take account of its family structure, whatever this means. You can see that such terminology is really open to any sort of interpretation which would suit the official censor. We at Al Jazeera responded by declaring that any codes of ethics or governance for journalistic practices should come from within the profession and not be imposed by political institutions. Obviously, those who sponsored and approved the charter are frightened regimes, alarmed especially by live talk shows that give airtime for their critics and viewers expressing opinion on issues considered taboo by these regimes. Although this adoption of the charter attracted criticism from analysts, rights activists, and organizations like Reporters Without Borders, and the Committee to Protect Journalists, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International, there is also some doubt as to the extent of commitment by the signatories to enforce their charter's stipulations. But as declaration of intention, the Charter of Principles should raise alarm bells in the quarters of the Union for the Mediterranean if it is to succeed where its predecessor failed in reinforcing human rights within the Med Partnership. As the world of media is becoming increasingly complex with each platform created by technological innovations of communications, so are attempts not only by regimes and government, but also by businesses which own media to thwart channels of communication and sources of information that can be a thorn in the side of authority or do not serve corporation interests. As we know, information is knowledge, and knowledge is power, and whoever controls the means also exercises power. What can be done about it, and how can independent media respond? The first and perhaps immediate thing which springs to mind is that there should be a real effort to understand the nature of regimes that hinder movement towards wider participation in power and democratic practices. Regimes in the South display at every opportunity a determined lack of desire to provide such means which can achieve the spirit of Article 19. Any gesture or even superficial hint they make in this direction is largely a result of external coercion. But this is where the proponents of the so-called conspiracy theory, at least in the Arab world, find justification in explaining all the woes and ills suffered by the populace. If democracy is only a talking point and not a practice in real politics, then such coercion was deliberately lacking, they would argue. The accusation of double standards by Western governments in their dealing with many major issues for the Arabs in both the Middle East and North and Eastern Africa is a plausible theme in advancing this theory. But however credible this may be, it contributes a lot to wallpapering over the internal ills and evils which retard any progress towards better commitment to human rights at all fronts by putting the blame on foreign parties. How can governments be made to account for violations of human rights within their realms? It is very difficult to expect or even imagine that such governments would ever enact laws which allow them to be brought to justice. I think that such course of action should be made possible through international tribunals empowered to indict the culprit. Preaching human rights to a population with high percentage of illiteracy can be futile if it was not accompanied by a deliberate effort to raise awareness among ordinary men and women at home, at work, at school or college of their rights as humans. Why can't businesses be obliged to get involved in the process of human rights observance? NGOs, human rights groups, and other civil organizations, trade unions, local, regional, and international, should be involved in such campaigns of educating people and applying pressure on regimes that ignore their commitments in this field. We at Al Jazeera cannot help but draw on the experience we have from the way our network developed and draw conclusions as to why it became a success story, firstly at regional and then international levels. For so long, Arab audiences, or in general terms, Arab consumers of the media, relied for information about developments, political and otherwise, in their own countries and abroad, which touch all aspects of their life, on Western channels of communications which have been monopolizing the scene for decades. This is because of their lack of trust of the local media, which is controlled directly by the official censor or by laws designed to curtail freedom of expression.